Hi, welcome to the podcast. I'm Mark Graban, and today we are doing a quick preview of a webinar that's going to be presented in the KaiNexus Continuous Improvement webinar series on October 6th. It's titled 6 Key Steps to Create a Culture of Improvement. And we're joined today with that presenter. He is Scott Burgmeyer, the Executive Director of IQC. Scott, how are you?
I'm doing well, Mark. Thanks. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm really looking forward to our time together in October.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to what you have to share. And I should also mention for the listeners to register for this, please go to www.kainexus.com/webinars. And Scott, can you give a little bit more of an introduction about yourself to the listeners here?
Yeah, it's great. Love to. You know, my role as Executive Director of IQC, we're really focused on being a catalyst to drive improvement and partner with organizations to take them from point A to point B and be with them along that journey. My journey, I spent time in manufacturing, actually grew up in manufacturing, and then had an opportunity to move into food production and then finished my corporate career in technology. So I've worked in manufacturing and tech and consulted in just about every sector you can imagine. So it's always love connecting with people, hearing their stories and what their goals are.
Yeah, and so before we talk a little bit more about the content of the webinar, you know, we're on a Zoom call and I can see over your shoulder on the wall 6 words and 2 exclamation points. Make it better, make it stick. I was wondering if you could just tell the audience why those 6 words are so important to you.
Yeah, and it actually aligns really well with what we're going to talk about in October. That those 6 words are really my mantra, and it's actually really easy to make something better. Where the struggle is how do you make it stick? And we can talk 5S, we can talk all kinds of examples, and the easiest one is we all clean a closet out and make it look really pretty, and we made it better. But if we go back to it 6 months later, what does it look like? Did we really make it stick? And so in our personal lives, in our organizations, that's really what it's about.
And what do you think is one of the biggest contributors to better not sticking, or maybe more broadly, what are some of the key challenges that you've seen in creating a culture of improvement that sticks?
No, that's awesome. And of course, we'll talk more about it in October, but I think there's the 2 primary ones that I see people stumble on is they pick a framework or they pick multiple frameworks, and it's not really clear how that fits into the organization. And so people get framework fatigue. Which one do I use?
Or confusion.
Or confused or whatever it is. And then this idea of being self-aware, both how, and self-awareness is really about who am I and what are my strengths and what are my blind spots. But it's also about understanding how do I work and impact others. So how do I interact with others? And many times what people do in improvement is they work on it and they do improvement to people instead of doing it with them.
Right.
And so then there's this push of, well, all of the analogies, well, you're just trying to eliminate my job. You're just trying to save money. You're just trying to, and the answer to all of those is yes, we're trying to do that and build a culture where work is easy and deliver value to our customers and make it be as fun as possible at work.
Yeah. And, so when you say, if somebody has that fear or concern, you're trying to eliminate my job. When you say yes, can you provide a little more context for that? Or it's yes but or yes and.
Yeah, it's yes and it becomes important for us to say, well, it's not about your job; it's about us delivering value to the customer. And when we do that, that secures your job.
Yeah, and sometimes. Go ahead.
No, and the only other part of that is then saying is our goal is to make your job not suck, if I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah, you can. Right. Yeah, and so eliminating someone's job could mean we're going to retrain you and redeploy you to something that's maybe more enjoyable.
It's about elevating them.
Yes.
And it's really about, yes, your job isn't gone. It's your job might be a little different. And I want you using your brain instead of your back.
Yes.
And we can, whether that's manufacturing, whether that's healthcare, whether that's service, retail, the using your back, you can't see me doing air quotes. Right. Using your back is more about how much heroics do you do to get the work done. And when we have to do heroics, we are not delivering our best self. I call that wasted excellence. We're wasting the excellence of people by putting so much effort behind what they have to do.
Yeah, that's a great point. And there's old classic Toyota advice about Taiichi Ohno says we come to work to use your brain and don't sweat so much. I'm kind of paraphrasing an old Ohnoism. And even recently, the current CEO and family member Akio Toyoda, there was this big release, an article about Akio Toyoda teaching a class about TPS to Toyota managers. And the main thing he emphasized was this is about making work easier for people. So that's even their current approach. And, unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. People complain that you're not involving me, you're making my work harder. And that should be a huge red flag to anybody if they're hearing that, right?
And when you hear that I believe that is a symptom of improvement being done to them versus with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's just one other thought. And again, for the webinar, Scott's going to be sharing, some concrete examples and lessons of, 6 key steps to create a culture of improvement. But, I want to come back to the make it better, make it stick. It seems like those words apply on one level for any particular improvement, like you said, reorganizing a closet. But then maybe it also applies at that higher level. If someone is trying to create a culture of improvement, they're making that culture better. But maybe can you give us one tip about making that culture stick once it starts to form? How do we make sure improvement's not just a fad?
And part of it is when we think about improvement and we start to get down the path of how we do improvement and what's the model, what's the framework, whether that's Lean, Six Sigma, whatever that methodology is. It's really about making it how you work versus projects or activity of improvement. It's really shifting the thinking from, okay, we're going to do this improvement project, which is the natural place to start, to it's how we work. Yes. And the more we make it how we work and the thinking process, that is when you have that culture of improvement. Because improvement is really a thinking process.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I know your webinar on October 6th is going to spur a lot of good thinking, and it's going to help people in that process. So thank you again in advance for that. So our guest here today has been Scott Burgmeyer. Again, he's going to be presenting a webinar on October 6th, 1:00 Eastern. You can register for that at kainexus.com/webinars. And if you happen to end up hearing this audio after October 6th, the recording will be available on our YouTube channel and in our on-demand webinar library. So Scott, thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, Mark, thanks.